Hi, everybody. This is Eddie Laporte, the Executive Director of the New Jersey Office of Faith-Based Initiatives. And today we are going to talk about the grant guidelines for the 2026 Freedom School grants. This is for cohorts 3 and 4. The only difference in the grant guidelines between cohorts 3 and 4 is the dollar amount. Everything else stays the same. So the application is due October 28th. Everybody is eligible because cohort 3 applied last year and cohort 4 are the planning grants grantees are awarded through OFBI this year. The dollar amount for cohort 3 is 80,000. The dollar amount for cohort 4 is 70,000. The application period is from July 1, 2025 to August 30th, 2026. And so I just want to quickly go over the grant guidelines because you're going to need to have this available when you actually write the application. So the project summary is really focusing on providing an overview of your Freedom School, the number of scholars, and levels. Now, when we say the levels, it's either level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and then what are the grades in those levels that you're going to deal with. My experience with level 1, K through 2, is that the Ks it's hard to it's hard to impact their literacy because they are having challenging times with actually, identifying sight words. So the K grade is probably the toughest grade. And you can't, this year we're going to move from getting report cards to getting the the New Jersey State yearly exam test reports that are accessible on let me see, the October of the fourth grader's year. So if you have a fourth grader, you're talking about a rising fifth grader, fourth grader, that's going to be a fifth grader, you can get his or her New Jersey um statewide test. Everybody else, you're going to have to get report cards, but we can have a conversation about what that's going to be like. Include information on where the Freedom School will be located, what activities beyond the morning literacy will the scholars be participating in the afternoon, indicate the trips that will be scheduled and why are you taking those particular trips. For a statement of collab wait, for organizational capacity, who comprises the Freedom School leadership team because that may have changed from the time you submitted the application to now. That goes for cohort 3 and cohort 4. Will the Freedom School operate in a facility that's ADA compliant? Does the organization have a smart facility? Does it have Wi-Fi, whiteboards, laptops for program participants? Also, for the project summary, you might want to indicate in there that you are applying for the summer camp license or permit, and what and the importance of that. What is the ability of the organization to provide healthy, nutritious meals? I think we want to know that in the organizational capacity section. Indicate the readiness of identifying tutors to support those students that are academically deficient entering Freedom Schools. Um, I've been talking about how important it is that, you know, now that the state is funding Freedom Schools, that the state wants other deliverables beyond what CDF asks you to provide in the morning. So in the afternoon, we want to be able to know, well, how are you making little Eddie and little Susan or little Amin more uh ready and capable to understand concepts that he or she may be deficient in based in if they're on fourth grade and under their report cards, if they're fifth grade and above based on their um yearly test results, the New Jersey Student Learning Assessment Report. And then how are you going to collect the New Jersey Student Learning Assessments from fifth graders and up? And what are you going to do to collect the report card for fourth graders and below? You can't wait until Freedom School starts to determine if the parents have access to the portal. We need that information so that it can be, so that the evaluation team from Rutgers has a baseline from which to determine how you were able to improve academic deficiencies, either through the 6 weeks of the Freedom School during or in providing homework, after school tutorial homework and assistance. All right, statement of need. What data is being used to determine that the Freedom School is a program that the community needs? Not everybody knows that Freedom School is a thing. So you got to go out there and you have to market it. My experience is that especially this level three, the cohorts 3 and 4, it, it, you may have registered 30, but on average you had maybe less than 20 attending. Not all, but most. And so the question is, you know, what do you need to do to make sure you have 30 on an average when you implement your Freedom School? So you may want to register 40, knowing that 10 may not show up. If Freedom Schools are not identified, why is the organization applying for the pilot project program, right? Or why is the organization applying to implement the Freedom School? All right, statement of collaboration. You need to identify 3 collaborating partners. So cohort 3, you have your partners you worked with last year. Cohort 4, you have your partners you identified in your Freedom School Planning Grant. You can use those same partners for this application here. Project design. Provide a detailed description of the project. The reader should have a full understanding of the step-by-step account of what a client or what a scholar will go through, and parents, in order to maximize program benefit. This year, we're asking you to upload the SLI recruitment worksheet and addendums. That's for cohort 3 and cohort 4. We need a really good diverse representation of our servant leader interns. And some folks wanna add junior leader interns. What is the fundraising plan for the Freedom School? You also have to upload the fundraising worksheet and the addendum. They're self-explanatory documents, but we need that uploaded because the people that are the legislators that are championing Freedom Schools want to know, what plan do you have in place to continue the Freedom School program if funding is not available beyond 2026? What will the approach be to educate the community about Freedom Schools? What design will the approach have to assure proficiency in academic courses where students are deficient based on their final report cards if they're fourth grade and under, or based on their um, New Jersey SLA assessment report, right? Explain the parent engagement component. How are you going to do the parent engagement component, right? You can't wait until Freedom School starts to engage parents on how to register for the portal where they can have access to their child's academic uh, 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 um, um, progress, and also to download the report card and or the New Jersey um, I can't keep that name. New Jersey Student Learning Assessment Report, the NJSLA report. I'm going to say the SLA report. And then what role will teachers play in developing individualized lesson plans during Summer Freedom School program? Now we had the the presentation by Integrated Schools. You may want to, fold them in to help you work with your SLIs to teach them how to develop individualized lessons plans, since that's what they're good at. Explain the design of the after-school homework tutorial program. Now, we're not going to fund standalone after-school programs. What we will fund are stipends to high school students or college students or graduate students to meet with little Eddie or little Brenda after school at a public location where they can help them with their tutoring and homework. Target population is a target population. Who are the folks? Your SMART goals, you want to indicate what are your SMART goals for your Freedom School. Now, Cohort 3, you did a pretty good job in your SMART goals last year. Since you had 1 year under your belt now, your SMART goals should be different from last year to this year. The the Cohort 4, this is your first go round in actually implementing a Freedom School, and you're piloting the Freedom School for the first time. So your SMART goals need to be realistic and measurable. This is how you have to create the SMART goals. All right. Then you have the evaluation. How will you evaluate and demonstrate the impact of the individualized lessons plans? If you uh, designed to improve academic proficiency based on the final report cards for fourth grade or under, or the SLAs for fifth grade and above. How will you evaluate and demonstrate the impact of the after-school homework and tutorial program? Well, cohort 3, you should have been doing this last year or into this year, so you should have a good idea of how you're gonna evaluate that impact, which is really, you know, little Eddie's proficiency. He's improved 1 letter grade in the academic courses that his report cards have indicated that he was struggling in. For cohort 4, you're gonna have to use the same model that when you implement the after school tutorial program for tutoring or homework assistance, that you're going to be able to show that little Eddie has become proficient, where he has improved 1 letter grade in those courses that he's been academically deficient. All right. Then there's the budget, right? You got to complete all budget forms. So for cohort 3 or 4, funds can be used for cohort 4 only. Funds can be used for the purchase of technology. Cohort 3, you had your opportunity for technology last year. You need to budget for trips, curriculum purchase, trips to Tennessee in July, and trips to Tennessee in January. Budget for 4 to 5 trips with transportation. Now, those organizations that are working with level 4s, maybe you don't have 4 to 5 trips, and maybe you have 2 or 3 remarkable trips, right? Maybe it's a weekend visiting 5 HBCUs. Maybe it's an entire like 3 days visiting construction sites and talking to union workers about their, what their life is like in working in the trades, right? You want to budget for meals, budget for vendors to provide extracurricular activities in the afternoon. For cohort 4, you need to budget $10,000 to support the evaluation program. All the other Freedom Schools have done it. It's a one-shot, it's a one-time cost. And that's going to be under consultant line items for $10,000 to Rutgers University. And then you also need to both budget for stipends for after-school tutoring and homework assistance. And you must provide a 20% match for every line item that the grant is being charged. And I'll explain that when we go over the budget in Sage. All right. If you have any questions, my number is 732-289-1896, 732-289-1896, and you all have my email. Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.